What if I told you that the debt you're paying off never existed in real, lawful money, and it's not even real to begin with, okay? In this video, I'm going to expose how modern debt is created using credit, not lawful money, what that really means for your obligations, and how you can leverage this truth to challenge illegitimate claims. Now, I've studied monetary law, Federal Reserve Act, and hidden mechanics of banking, and I'm here to help you understand how to navigate a system built on illusion. Now, before we dive into this video, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. This is not tax advice. Make sure you do your due diligence, because everything that I'm talking about is just for educational purposes only. All right? Don't just trust everything that I'm saying. Make sure to take the information and cross-reference everything that I'm talking about. I don't want you to trust me. I just want you to find the truth. Okay? Everything that I talk about on this page is literally, I give that game away. Not because, like, you know, I'm just not a firm believer of gatekeeping information that anybody can just look up. They just may not understand how to communicate it, or they may not understand the, you know, how to really simplify it. So I put it out there. Everything I'm talking about, you can find it online. Will you understand it? I don't know. Okay. So I'm going to read it for you, make it make sense. And then we're going to really break down those processes. But before you do that, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Okay, we want to make sure we're at the top of the algorithm so people can see this information that nobody is talking about. All right, now let's dive straight in. Okay, what we're going to be talking about is lawful money. Okay, and I think that, you know, even on the aspect of people wanting to recoup and wanting to, you know, redeem money, or wanting to be in a position where they are, you know, getting reparations in a sense. What people are hoping to get is lawful money, but the reality is that there is no lawful money. So we're going to be breaking down what lawful money actually is. We're going to break down what we have in replacement of lawful money. We're going to talk about how modern debt was created. We're also going to be talking about how to demand lawful money, how to redeem it, what this can mean for your debt, and how we can use this in the aspect of discharging and holding companies accountable, collectors, banks accountable when it comes to the debt discharge process. How to use this understanding to your advantage. Okay, now this is not something I would say, oh, if you understand this right here, you're going to immediately wipe out all your debts and they're just going to start handing you lawful money. By the time you get to the end of this video, and this is if you watch the entire video to its totality and fully understand it, this will be part 1. You get what I'm saying? Because I may make a part 2. But if you get to this in full entirety of this video, when you get to the end, you're going to fully understand how to use this to your advantage. Don't just watch and listen to certain parts and then start taking action. No, watch this all the way through. Make sure you get all the way to the end. All right. So I'm also live on Twitch too. So this is for my people who are watching this YouTube video. If you want to tap in to the live streams prior to the video coming out, make sure to follow the Twitch. You dig what I'm saying? The link will be in the description under biz_nick. Okay, so let's dive straight in. All right, what is lawful money? Let me go ahead and pull up lawful money. Lawful money. Okay, I'm curious of what Google will say if I type in lawful money. See, they pull up legal money, but I'm looking for lawful money. Okay, so when I pull it up, it's just talking about legal money. But when I type in lawful money in the Constitution, oh, here we go, Investopedia, you dig what I'm saying? It says lawful money. Okay, lawful money is any form of currency issued by the United States Treasury and not the Federal Reserve System. You dig what I'm saying? So that dollar, let me make sure, let me get me a dollar. Hold on, let me pause it real quick and redo that. So that lawful money, not this. You dig what I'm saying? You see at the top, it says Federal Reserve Note, okay? This was issued by the Federal Reserve, okay? Now that we understand that, when the question is, okay, what is lawful money? Lawful money is not anything issued by the Federal Reserve. And it only includes gold and silver coins, treasury notes, and treasury bonds, okay? Lawful money stands in contrast to fiat money, in which the government assigns value, although it has no intrinsic value of its own, and it is not backed by reserves. Fiat money includes legal tender, such as paper money, checks, drafts, and bank notes. Okay? So the Constitution says that lawful money is only gold and silver coin. And this is in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. All right? Federal Reserve notes are legal tender, not lawful money. Okay? Let's pull up the definition of legal tender. Legal tender. All right? Legal tender is to unconditionally offer money or performance to meet an obligation. So I pulled this up because, they're going to say, hey, make sure you use legal tender. But if I give you an unconditional offer of money, if I unconditionally offer money to you, it doesn't say if I give you this piece of paper, right? Or a performance. You dig what I'm saying? A performance is more of an action. It's not a noun. It's not a thing. You dig what I'm saying? That is legal tender. But this is a type of legal tender, okay? So, in essence, that's not lawful money. That's just tender. That's just legal tender, okay? That's tendering, okay? But when we look at U.S. Code Title 12411, this is where it gets interesting. I want to go to Cornell Law. It says that Federal Reserve notes to be issued on the discretion of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System for the purpose of making advances to the Federal Reserve banks through Federal Reserve agents as hereinafter set forth for no other purpose are authorized. The said note shall be obligations of the United States and shall be receivable by all national and member banks and Federal Reserve banks for all taxes, customs, and other public dues. They also shall be redeemed in lawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States. Okay? So let's break this down. This right here is a IOU dollar. You dig what I'm saying? So when you have this dollar here, or anybody that is requesting this here, it's literally of the obligation of the United States. And in exchange for this, right, you should be able to get lawful money. And I say should, because it's not like they're going to actually give you lawful money. If the system was moving how it needed to move, then you can easily exchange this for lawful money. But what happened was they don't have gold and silver. You dig what I'm saying? They actually confiscated it from us according to House Joint Resolution 192, according to 31 USC 5118. They confiscated from it. They made us surrender that money to them. Okay? So understand that this dollar is not lawful money. It's just a promise to pay a circulating IOU dollar, okay? And people put a lot of value on this, but if I wrote a piece of paper and put IOU and signed it with my signature, then this right here would actually become legal tender if you position it properly. I'm not telling you guys to do that. Don't do that if you don't know how to truly enforce it, okay? Now, let's just talk about how modern debt is created. Banks don't lend money, they lend credit backed by your signature. So when you look at the definition of signature, your signature is something that is essentially creates, I think it's 3-401 signature. Your signature is what creates the obligation, okay? So the only way an obligation can be created, or an IOU, or this can be issued, or credit can be created, is if your signature is on there. Okay. Now only you can essentially create signatures that formulate these obligations that are essentially owed by the United States. Okay. So they take your signature, and it's not that they lend money, they create the credit. And then on top of that, when the credit gets created based off of your signature, they also use your signature again and securitize it. They securitize that whatever you signed, which was a promissory note, creating credit from thin air, okay? So not only do they create credit from thin air, but they also sell it on Wall Street so they can make even more money. Understand that there's no lawful consideration that ever enters the transaction. The only lawful it will only be lawful consideration if they wasn't giving you this and they was giving you gold or silver, something with intrinsic value. If they're not giving that to you, then that right there is not cash in hand. Okay? So then we dive into the aspect of how to demand lawful money and how to redeem it. Okay? So it says that under 12 USC 411, it says that you can redeem unlawful money on demand at the Treasury Department of the United States. Okay? It says that you have a right to do that. So for my people out there that's looking to do the lawful demand, this is something that you can do. However, it's not going to be as simple as you think it is. Okay? If you are paying a particular bill or something, okay, using things like redeemed in lawful money per 12 USC 411 on a deposit slip is one method, not to get the actual money, but to potentially get your bill paid. Okay, now this is just one method. I'm not telling one after this video, go run and put this, right? But this is something that you can insert as your right and demand lawful money to pay off the debt. If they don't, then you dive into things like the tender of payment, UCC 3-603, okay, where it says that if a tender of payment of an obligation to pay an instrument is made to a person entitled to enforce the instrument and the tender is refused, there is discharge to the extent of the amount of tender of the obligation of the endorser or accommodation party having the right of recourse with respect to the obligation on which the tender relates. Long story short, if you send and you try to obtain lawful money to pay your bill and they refuse it, that is them also refusing legal tender. Okay, legal tender is an unconditional offer of money or performance to meet an obligation. If you sent that and they decided to not accept it or refuse it and they say, oh, you can't do this, then it's discharged no matter what they say. Okay, and then they'll have to prove their dishonor. All right, but that's besides the point. Now, the courts also have recognized the right to request lawful money redemption, even though it's often ignored. So this is why it's very keen to fully understand these laws, not just when you see certain words that say, oh, it can be redeemed, but understanding the other laws that will allow you to truly enforce it. Because yes, they will ignore it if you just walk in there and say, hey, I want lawful money. They will ignore it, okay? Because they know they can't. So they truly rely on your ignorance of this clause, because everyone demanded real money, the system will collapse. Okay, if everyone just said, hey, look, I want to get lawful money, something that they know they can't get you, they're just going to throw their hands up and everybody will be mad, like you probably are. Okay, but it's not about you getting the lawful money. Okay, it's about using it as a tool so that you can be able to discharge. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that have gotten treasury bonds and, you know, they never gotten gold. I don't think anybody has ever gotten gold from the Treasury or the United States. They probably got a certificate or a bond or whatever the case may be, savings bond, that essentially is not, you know, something that they can even use to pay their debts in a sense. And maybe, right? But I think most people think that if they demand lawful money that they're going to get this right here. But you're not, okay? You're not going to get this, okay? And nor are they going to give you gold, okay? They're not going to actually give you the lawful money, but it's more of a tool for you to say, okay, damn, I have a right to demand this and you can't give it to me. So what do you want me to do is the strategy. I hope you guys really getting that, okay? So here's what this means for your debt. If you never receive lawful consideration, then the debt is arguably void of enforceability, okay? It can't be enforced because there's no lawful consideration. Because if I'm asking for lawful money, right, or if I have to pay my debts using lawful money and I can't, and you couldn't even give me lawful money in exchange for these Federal Reserves, which is essentially has no intrinsic value, is an IOU that further affirms that this is just credit, then you didn't bring any value to the table. You was only able to get this because I signed a promissory note. So here's a legal maximum that I want to really break down. It's so funny, okay? It's ex nihilo. Okay, let me not butcher this. Let me not butcher this right here, okay? Okay, so the Latin phrase, and I had to go look at the pronunciation so I didn't butcher this, but it's ex nihilo nihil fit, which means nothing comes from nothing, okay? It's a psychological principle that suggests that nothing can be created from nothingness. You dig what I'm saying? So When you understand that nothing comes from nothing, right, it further affirms that they really are creating things out of thin air, okay? Yes, our signature has value, but it's literally just a signature, okay? It's literally just a signature. Like, really think about it. A signature is going to give you money? No, it's not, okay? But can it create a accounting book entry? Absolutely, okay? That is essentially something that is created out of thin air, okay? Now, when we dive into 15 USC 1605, it talks about the finance charge. The finance charge is the sum of all charges, okay? But the important aspect of the finance charge is that this should be properly disclosed, okay? When you have a finance charge, you can, and this is when you go to the dealership or if you deal with anything, you can essentially ask for the source of funds, okay? If you guys never disclose the finance charge and every single item that leads to the finance charge, and then also at the same time where the finance charge is being sourced from, that right there is a violation within itself under the Truth in Lending Act. So without lawful tender or disclosure of the source, the contracts lack full legal standing. So when we go back to the contract law fundamentals, the conversation is to essentially use that against them, okay? When it comes to discharging debt, I mean, a lot of people think that is about filling out these forms and doing this, that, and the third, and then your debt is just going to magically be accounted for. But what happens is you have to take them through a enforcement process, shift the burden of proof onto them, then take them to court, challenge their jurisdiction, challenge their legal standing to be able to collect on a debt that is not real, debt that they never even created, the debt or the obligation that was created by you. They'll have to now prove that they never made their money. That is a very different conversation than saying, hey, I filled out this form and you must discharge my debt. No, it's not. You're not asking for permission, okay? You're exercising your right. When they refuse it, it is discharged already. Now, it's just more of a premise of, do they even have standing to default? Do they have standing to sue you? Now, are they moving within their right as a debt collector? Have they dishonored you? Which is a very different conversation than saying, they didn't discharge my debt. No, your debt was already discharged. Okay. So here's another quote. If they never loaned anything of value, but demanding you to repay them in labor, property, and energy, that is what they really want. It's not that they truly want money. It's not that they truly want you to pay, because again, it is literally nothing. When you give them these dollars, it doesn't do anything for the debt at all. Okay, they've already made their money. This is so that you can go and work for the almighty dollar. Put your time and attention and effort into it. And when you put your time, attention, and effort into it, what happens is now your life is being taken away. Now they have control over your life because they work hand in hand with the government. The government is able to truly thrive when there are people working under it, okay? Believing in the government. So we hear, oh, there's no jobs and this, that, and the third. And we get into this mental, oh my God, there's no jobs. You know, people are not getting hired. Now we're in, feel like we need the government, okay? So then you dive into the aspect of your energy being expended. When your energy is expended, you don't have time and energy to put towards things like learning about consumer law. You don't have time and energy to learn how to overcome the system. You don't have time and energy to start a business and truly use the system for what it is, okay? See, the system is not built for people to work, okay? If you truly want to maneuver through the system, you have to create a business and work with the system, not for the system, if that makes sense, okay? And one will say, well, I don't want to be a part of the system. Well, go off the grid. You dig what I'm saying? If you're trying to create wealth, don't use this tool. There are plenty of different economies out there that has their own things, right? There's some economies out there that you don't even have control over your business. You get what I'm saying? But in this economy, yes, they have their ups and downs and all the political and societal issues, whatever the case may be. But you can own your own business here. You can make money out of thin air. You can get credit out of thin air, use that credit to be able to purchase assets, and those assets can generate you more money, and you will spend less time and energy creating a lifestyle that you want. But then there's the other aspect, or the other person say, well, everything costs so much here. Well, yes, it does, because you can make money that easily here. Some places you don't have the same opportunity to make that type of money. This is why most people have foreign entities inside the United States, because it is a playground where you can make a lot of money and bring it back and get those assets and bring it back to your country. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's no other country out there that gives you the ability to make that type of money, but I'll just say that this system even gives you the aspect to be able to challenge debt collectors and have an administrative remedy, administrative process that you can now exercise your own process against these bigger companies. There's places out there and countries out there that don't even allow you to do that. You will be put in jail for speaking against them. You get what I'm saying? But I want to be off the grid. I'm just tired of this system. Nah, maybe you just don't know about your system. And what makes you think that, oh, I don't know about this system, I'm going to go in another country and learn about that system? You're probably not going to do that well in that system either. Not to be pessimistic, but I'm just keeping it real, okay? So I know we yapping a little bit. So let's just talk about how to respond and assert remedy. Here's what you can do. You can demand lawful money, okay? And you can demand proof that it was lent, all right? That's number one. You can demand it and try to redeem it. And when you are not able to redeem it, you can use that against them, or you can just demand that they have actually given you lawful money. If they have not given you lawful money, then there is no proof of consideration. So then that's when you'll issue a conditional acceptance letter where you say, hey, look, I'll conditionally accept this offer and pay you guys back if you guys actually loaned me something lawful, if there is some lawful consideration. Because if there's not, there's nothing that you have risked and nothing that I necessarily owe you. And then number three, you can use UCC 3-305 to challenge the instrument for lack of consideration, because if there is a lack of consideration, then they aren't the holder in due course. You get what I'm saying? If they're not the legal holder in due course, then they lack standing to collect on the debt. So then we dive into the other aspect, assert your rights under 12 U.S.C. 411. You have a right to demand lawful money, okay? That's the thing. You have a right to demand lawful money, and if you are demanding lawful money properly, what's going to happen is if they don't follow your rights or they don't allow you to assert your rights, that's something else you can use against them. So you want me to pay you, but I can't get the lawful money. I'm asking for it right now. But then also at the same time, it says that my lawful money or any FRN or Federal Reserve note is the obligation of the United States. So boom. If you talk about that you need this right here, hit up the United States. At least that's what 12 U.S.C. 411 says. Okay. So the thing is, if they can't prove that lawful money was involved, then they cannot make a claim on it at all. See, all debts are alleged. Okay. It can be alleged until proven otherwise. Okay. So that's the beauty about the law. That's the beauty about understanding these concepts, because now it's more in the aspect of you challenging whether or not that they have properly lent you lawful money that they say they want from you. And then also at the same time, understanding terms like tender, legal tender, understanding terms of what the Federal Reserve note actually is, understanding this monetary system, understanding this economy, understanding the right way to build wealth. Okay? This is exactly how you're going to be able to use the entire monetary system for your benefit. Understand that the monetary system runs on your signature, your belief, and your energy, which is time, labor, and attention. Okay? Not on true lawful money. If everybody stopped working today, then this right here would lose its value. Okay? Once you understand this, you stop being a debtor and you start reclaiming your power. See, the thing is more of an understanding. People think that you have to do these forms. You got to be a sovereign citizen. You got to be a foreign national. And all of these things are great. And I'll tell anybody, definitely dive into that, get your paperwork together. But it really comes with understanding, because it doesn't matter who they say you are. If you say that you're not a debtor and you can communicate that, if you're able to state your claim, you're able to have that conversation with them that is about them dishonoring and not allowing you to assert your rights, your unalienable rights, then now we're having a different conversation. You can say I owe you debt, but now I'm challenging the contract that says that I owe debt, that I quote unquote agreed to. If you told me that you loaned me money and I asked you, how did you loan me money? Or for you to prove that you actually loaned me money and risked money from your reserve and didn't take my signature and exchange it for Federal Reserve notes, which is not real money. Okay. What did you risk? Okay. You just created this out of thin air and then you didn't even give me this. Most times they didn't even give you this. Most times they just took the number and typed it into your account as a deposit. The definition of deposit in the Constitution is literally an unpaid balance. You can look it up. Unpaid balance means it's been unpaid. So when you understand these terms, when you understand what's actually going on behind the scenes, it's not that you're going to be sitting there arguing about somebody discharging your debt. You're going to be sitting there having a true conversation about, about the contract. It's a contract conversation. So now that we gotten all the way to the end, you understand lawful money. This is just part 1, okay? I may create a part 2. So when this video gets to 500 likes, I'll make a part 2. You dig what I'm saying? We get to 500 likes, I'll make a part 2 on the lawful money, talking about some processes to help you guys understand how to redeem lawful money, dive deeper in it. Also have a lawful money challenge kit down below in the Complete Debt Guide. The Complete Debt Guide is super affordable right now, so anybody can tap into the Complete Debt Guide. And then also at the same time, when you do, you become a part of the Complete Debt Guide community and become an affiliate. So you can be able to share with other people and make 80% commission on whatever the price is, okay? Number 2, if you want to work with me one-on-one, no, I'm not going to be talking about lawful money in our one-on-one private coaching sessions, okay? We're going to be gearing towards things that's going to give you tangible results, like fixing your credit, validating debt, and things in that nature. Okay. Also positioning you so that you can get funding, which is a 680 or better credit score. You have a 680 or better credit score. That's another reason to tap into my one-on-one mentorship so we can help you get funding. And number 3, if you're looking to build your own credit repair business or even create your own digital marketing business using the information that I talk about here, tap in as well, because I truly help those people, and that is my goal of my mentorship. Okay, if you're there and you're just trying to discharge your debt, go grab the Complete Debt Guide or just literally watch all of my YouTube videos in a debt discharge playlist on repeat. Okay, I give this game away for free because if one will say, hey, look, I want to just pay you to discharge my debt, I'm gonna just tell you to pay your debt, because I want to teach people and help people understand my teachings. I don't want to do it for them. You get what I'm saying? Now, number 3, tap in with me on Instagram and Twitch at biz.nick on Instagram and biz_nick at Twitch. The link will be in the description. Also, a question I have for you guys is, have you ever wondered what real money even is? We just talked about it today. Drop it down in the comment section. Remember to like, share, hit the subscribe button, because once you see what's behind the curtains, you'll never see debt the same. I love you guys. If you got all the way to the end, comment the word discharge, and I'll see you in the next one.